Hello and welcome to our podcast. Today, we're journeying to the beautiful shores of West Africa to explore a treasure trove of history, Ghana's castles and forts. I'm your host, and I'm excited to embark on this expedition through time with you.
And I'm thrilled to be here as well. Ghana's rich history, woven into the fabric of its castles and forts, is a story worth telling. These structures are not just ancient stone buildings, they're monuments to the past, echoing tales of trade, culture, and unfortunately, human suffering, particularly as it relates to the slave trade.
Absolutely. To kick things off, let's define what we mean by castles and forts. These are fortified structures that were primarily built by European colonizers in the 15th to 17th centuries, specifically the Portuguese, Dutch, British, and others, on West African soil. They served multiple purposes, including trade and military defense.
That's a great starting point. Now let's dive deeper into their significance. Ghana's forts were pivotal in the gold, ivory, and tragically, the slave trade. They were first built primarily to facilitate access to African resources and markets. Can you imagine the bustling life around these structures during their heyday?
It must have been like a vibrant fair, with traders and merchants flocking to and from these forts. And speaking of significance, we can't overlook UNESCO's role in preserving these sites today. UNESCO, the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, recognizes that Ghana's castles and forts hold exceptional universal value. Their goal is to protect these sites so that future generations can appreciate their history.
Yes, UNESCO operates under a philosophy that heritage belongs to everyone, a beautiful concept. It ensures that the stories these forts hold can be shared and not lost to time. This brings us to the fascinating history of how these forts came to be, particularly the Portuguese involvement. Did you know that the Portuguese were among the first Europeans to explore West Africa?
Exactly. In the 15th century, they were on a quest for gold, which eventually led to the establishment of the trade we're talking about. In 1471, explorers Martim Fernandes and Álvaro Esteves set their sights on the gold-rich lands of Ghana, a region later named Mina, meaning the mine, by King Afonso Futh. It was the beginning of a significant chapter in trade history.
And it's a chapter that shaped not just Ghana, but the world. One particularly noteworthy fort is the fortress at Edina, which was commissioned by King John II in 1482. Construction involved a significant workforce of 600 men, including masons and engineers, and materials were shipped in from Portugal. It's incredible to think about the logistics involved. So much effort went into creating what would become some of the most important trading hubs of their time.
Imagine the sights and sounds, the bustling activity, the scent of tropical wood, and the echo of hammers against stone. As we move through the timeline, it's fascinating to note that by 1486, Elmina had gained city status, though its early fortifications were quite basic. This was before the advent of heavy artillery, which meant these structures weren't designed to withstand powerful attacks at that time.
Fast forward a bit, and you'll see how the evolving threat of rival European nations prompted adaptations in the castle's designs. The Portuguese took inspiration from the Italian Renaissance, incorporating bastions and curtain walls to reinforce their defenses. It's quite remarkable how military technology influenced architecture.
Absolutely, and these modifications made them formidable. Take Castle St. George, for example. Constructed in the 15th century, it featured not only strong walls, but living quarters, workshops, and even underground water cisterns. Imagine every fort being a small community in its own right, bustling with activity, all while withstanding the pressures of trade and defense.
It's incredible to think about how these structures were designed to be self-sufficient. And as history unfolded, particularly with the invasion of British troops into the hinterland in 1873, the function of these forts evolved yet again.
That's a stark reminder of the dynamic nature of history. These forts were more than just passive structures. They were active players in the story of colonization and trade. They witnessed the tides of empires rising and falling, the exchanges of cultures, and the profound impacts of the transatlantic slave trade.
Exactly. And as we draw our conversation to a close, let's reflect on how these forts serve as reminders of humanity's complex history. They're not just remnants of the past, They're critical learning tools that teach us about resilience, cultural exchange, and the importance of preserving history.
Well said. So the key takeaways from today are: first, Ghana's castles and forts embody a rich historical tapestry of trade, culture, and human experience. Second, the importance of their preservation through organizations like UNESCO ensures that future generations can appreciate and learn from our past. And lastly, these structures are constant reminders of our shared human journey, full of lessons that remain relevant even today.
Thank you for joining us today on this historic exploration. Until next time, remember, history is not just about the past, it's about shaping our understanding of the future.